G'day Saners, welcome to the first official live review of the season. We just finished playing Collingwood in the Marsh series, game 3, our final pre-season game for the season, for the pre-season, and week off now. The result, 2 wins from 2, which is amazing. We played Hawthorn in the first week and we won pretty comfortably in the end there, 20 points, and then last week we played them again in the pre-season game, raising money for charity. And this week we played a formidable lineup in Collingwood. They fielded essentially a full team. They rested a few players towards the end there, but it was a battle. It was a tough game. In the end, the final score was Collingwood 57, Saints 68. So we got the job done, and it was a gallant win in the end because they played such a tough game. Collingwood in the first quarter, they seemed to negate our running. They seemed to stop us from playing our game. And I know that Ratton under us, or us under Ratton, we want to take the game on. We want to go through the corridor, and Collingwood knew that straight away. They knew that. They kind of congested that area, and we played the game wide. And it kind of had glimpses of when we were under Richo and we played that kind of long bomb game and no real direction, no real creativity. And I think a lot of that was Collingwood, because it looked like from watching it that we wanted to go inboard, we wanted to take the game on, but all avenues were kind of, they were clogged up. That Collingwood stopped us from doing that, and I thought that was good coaching on their end. But from that point on, second quarter onwards, we seemed to just dominate, and it was really impressive to see how we took the game on. I think we kind of owned the rest of the game, to be honest. It was an 11-point win, but it could have been more. I mean, that third quarter, I think it was the third quarter, if I go back to the trends, it was the second or third quarter where we had like 24 inside 50s to 6, I believe it was. It was insane, the differential. I don't know what the total in the end was. I've just got the stats here in front of me. Inside 50s, where are they? Can't even find them on this thing. There were a lot more. I mean, we kind of dominated the game from that point. And it was just a matter of actually hitting the target in terms of kicking through the goals. And, Max King started like a house on fire early. Took 3 good grabs, and just had a couple of chances to kick 2 or 3 goals in that first quarter. But just what he shows, and his the way he competes in the air, he's gonna he's gonna have a game where he just rips the opposition to shreds. And when he kicks straight, when he gets more of the ball and he gets more fitness, gets bigger, it's going to be terrifying for the opposition. Marks inside 50 was 14-4 our way, and I thought that was one of the key things I took from the game. Was even when we were under pressure, we seemed really patient. We kind of chipped the ball around. We used the angles really well, and even if it was a 10 to 15, 15-meter pass, that didn't really seem to progress us in any way. It was still holding the ball. It was still keeping the ball from Collingwood, and I thought that was a really, really impressive thing that we did, and something that I wasn't really used to watching last year. We'd rush it, we'd kind of hack the ball forward and just see what happens, but there was real method to what we were trying to do, and I was really happy to see that. Key standouts for me in terms of players, I thought Dunstan had an amazing game. I thought he was really impressive. He's had his 29 disposals. I think 10 of those were contested, which was really impressive. He had, his effectiveness in terms of disposal was 79%. So, a lot of people say that he's not a great kick, even though he gets a lot of the ball, he doesn't do much with it. 79% from 29 disposals, that's 23 effective disposals, and to me that's a big win. Brad Hill had a lazy 28, looked really impressive, and again, what do you expect from him? He was really clean with the ball, although he did get stuck in a few times. I think he tackled DeGoey and got holding the ball. There were so many highlights from this game. I thought, Billings at 25, but he just kind of did what he needed to do. There was nothing amazing about it. One guy that stood out to me, I don't know if he stood out to you, was Dougal Howard. The amount of times that it looked like a Collingwood player was going to take an easy uncontested mark in their forward line, he would just come in and just get a hand onto it. Even if it was just a fingertip, he just kind of did what he needed to do, and just negated the opposition forwards. And Robertson, that was an outstanding performance from his end. I don't know what his stats were in the end. but it felt like he got a lot of the ball. It looks like he didn't. He might have. I mean, Marshall was impressive against Grundy. I'm going to have to say that. Uh, it's a preseason game, so we can't automatically just say Marshall's better than Grundy. But the fact that he competed, he got stuck into Grundy, and he pushed forward hard and made Grundy really accountable. I love that, and I thought that was kind of the team as a whole today. Was making Collingwood accountable. We didn't fear that team, and the first half, I thought we wanted to take the game on. They kind of stopped us. Second half, it was a matter of when could we kick the goals. And, a player like, Jack Loney, when we've got so many small forward positions up for grabs, there's a lot of competition there. Dean Kent was lively. I thought Butler was great. But Loney bobbed up with a lazy 4 goals. I think he had 14 possessions in the end. He had 10 kicks, 4 goals, 1. I think most of those goals were in that last quarter when we wanted to win the game. So I was super impressed with his performance. And it's important, when someone like Membrew, who's only had 1 goal, 1, he still has the 15 possessions. He got back a lot late, and it was good to see us trial that and see, we were only 2 goals up in the last 4 minutes. We chipped it around. We played the possession game, and we really, kind of went into protect the lead mode, and we didn't want to give up the lead. So it's cool seeing the different tactics throughout the game. I thought my absolute highlight was probably Ben Long off halfback. He's had his 24 possessions, 17 handballs. It was mainly the first half that he really stood out. I think he had about 18 possessions in that first half. But 87% efficiency, 24 possessions, I think 20 uncontested. That's kudos to the coaching staff. He was kind of lost in that forward line last year, and we always thought he could be that small forward, that dangerous forward for us. But in the end, he looks like a really grounded halfback flanker that has that speed. And a lot of the time, he got out of danger because he just has that quick direction. He went for the handball, but then he changes, goes that way. But he changes again. If he doesn't see the right option, he doesn't panic. And I thought he found, he has this weighted handball. It's not just the direct easy one. It's kind of there's 2 or 3 saints, but he goes for the 4th saint. He kind of goes even further, and it's almost as far as a kick, and it progresses us and makes us really dangerous on the rebound. So I thought him at halfback was really effective. Hunter Clark did a few really special things out of traffic that you're like, how the hell does he do that? But overall, it was a defensive sort of game. It's interesting. The Hawthorn game was really attacking. We kicked like 7 or 8 goals in that first quarter. We kicked over 100 points. In this one, it was a battle, and we only kicked, I think it was like 9 goals, or 10 goals, 8. We had 18 shots on target to 12, so 6 more than Collingwood. It was just a completely opposite type of game where, we had to really grind it and really tough it out. And we did it. Collingwood had a good lead. I think they kicked 4 of the first 5 goals. We fought back, and it was just great to see a lot of the new recruits doing really well. I thought Ed Phillips was pretty good. Josh Battle, still not sure where his best position is, but he was a late in. He kind of played forward in that last quarter. He hovered back, earlier than that, and he took a few good grabs. And that lace-out pass he hit, Zach Jones at, that was super impressive. And he could hold his position, but you've got guys like Seb Ross, Nick Hind apparently killed it in the warm-up game against the Collingwood VFL team, and John Marsh as well. So there's a few players there, the Jack Bytel, there's a few players that are still a chance, and then the other one, Jake Carlisle, who for personal reasons didn't play, I believe. So how we fit these players in is an exciting problem for the coaches and for the fans to think about, because we haven't had that sort of competition for spots in a long time. And now we've had 2 preseason games, 2 official preseason games, ignoring the charity game. We've won both against teams that are pretty, decent teams. Hawthorn people think are going to finish in the 8. Collingwood people think are going to finish in the top 4. So we've played 2 solid teams, and they both played full strength teams. So did we, and we've both times come up with a hard-fought win. And I think this just helps grow the confidence, grows the enthusiasm for the season ahead. And now we've got a week off, we can recover, get ready for round 1 against North in, exactly 2 weeks today. We'll know exactly where we sit in the AFL world, whether we come out guns blazing or these 2 matches over pre-season we're kind of just aberrations and nothing more than just preseason wins. But I'd like to think that there's more to it, and just seeing the way we're playing with the mythology, the method that Rats has put into place. There's a lot of change that's happened since round 23 last season. So in terms of style of play, in terms of mentality, in terms of coaching stuff, in terms of player personnel, there's complete changes. And I think this has revitalised the team. There's all this energy, and they just don't seem to be worried about who they're playing. They're just kind of playing the way they want to play. Whereas under Richo, under previous coaches, I don't want to focus too much on that, but we're probably focused too much on how good the other teams were and trying to protect whatever lead we had, or protect the margin that the team had on us. But in this, we just kept going for it. We didn't panic when they were 3 goals up. We also didn't panic when they were 1 point up late in the fourth quarter, but we kept going and going, and we kicked a couple of late goals and got the win. So I'm really happy about that. Let's go through some of these comments. Thanks for some of these comments, guys. Darcy says, "Go Saints, the king is God." But Luke Dunstan is frustrating. Great work. Luke Dunstan had 28, 29. I think he had the most disposals on the ground. He had like 80% efficiency. I mean, he can be frustrating, but I think, based on just the 2 hours we watched of him today, really happy with what he did. Chris says, "Great second half. Mid started to gel." I really liked Paddy Ryder as well, by the way. I thought he was really important in the ruck, and a few of his back hits, kind of had flashes of when he hit that to Robbie Gray a couple of years ago that broke our hearts, but he did that a few times to our mids, and they read it really well, and we got some easy clearances. And also another player that didn't play, Jade Gresham, real X factor in that middle of the ground. So we get Gresham back, we get Seb Ross back. Jake Carlisle's not getting a game at the moment. Bytel, Nick Hine, Jono Marsh. There's a few players there that can still come in, and they've all got valid positions, valid says in how we're going to play and how the season's going to pan out. So super excited to see that. Matt says, "Defensively we were great. Forward line needs time to gel. Pieces are there, but crazy number of entries for little return." Really good comment, Matt. I thought this was a defensive style game. We protected the back half really well, and I thought Dougal Howard, Dylan Robert and Kel Wilkie, I think Jaron Geary as well in his first proper full game back, gelled really well. And then you've got the pace of Ben Long, Hunter Clark coming out. Caulfield got a few possessions late and looked much better than he did in the Hawthorn game. So that back half's really solid, and it's probably one of the strengths we've got now, which is, crazy to think, because 12 months ago you would have said that's clearly our weakness in the positions that we need the most. But you recruit Cal Wilkie, in a really shrewd recruit last year, and played every game. Then you've got Dougal Howard, who was a steal this season, and Port gave him up for a couple of draft picks. And then you've got players returning, Robert and Carlisle getting back to full fitness, and then you've got the emergence of Ben Long, Hunter Clark. So there's so much to like about that back half, and it's got versatility, it's got speed, it's got kicking. Dougal Howard's kicking in the first Marsh game genuinely worried me. In this game, he hit the target every time, and the ball got to the player really fast. He kept it low, drilled it, and didn't mess around. And definitely, his best game in his 2 games, and he's ready to go round 1. So that's super exciting. Peter says, "How did Geary play? Looked like Long played well." Geary was stable. I don't think he had a whole lot of stats in terms of disposals, if I look it up. Geary, he seems to have more than what I thought. No, can't even find him. Let's see. Yeah, he had 12 possessions, so he just did what he had to do, laid a few tackles, a few marks, so kind of just, I don't think he's, we shouldn't worry about him getting a lot of the ball, but I think he just adds a bit of organisation to the back half, and that's the reason why he's captain. He's good vocally, and, a few times in recent seasons they've mic'd him up, and you can hear how he instructs players, and I think that's the key benefit that he brings. Also, Collingwood, had Stevenson, whatever you want to call him, and they had a few smalls there, and we dealt with them really well. Apart from late in the last quarter, none of them really did us any damage, and those are the sort of players that often do cause us problems, more so than, the talls like Mason Cox, or any tall for that matter. Those are the ones that usually get hold of us. But we handled it really well. Pete says, "I was at the game and King is unstoppable. Also, Zach Jones could be the biggest steal during the trade period. Massive year for the Saints. I thought Jones was impressive. I thought that his field kicking was solid. He had 20 possessions, 70% efficiency. So anyone there that says that he's a shit kick, there's 70% of the time he's hit the target in a pretty contested game where we couldn't, it wasn't a lot of the outside ball. He did get in and under, and I thought he was excellent. I thought he added some run. It's exciting to see when Hill gets the ball, then Jones run past, and then you've got Ben Long out of defence. There's a lot of genuine pace. And I think that actually troubled Collingwood, and they're actually a pretty fast team. So to trouble a team like Collingwood that has a lot of ground speed, we're doing a good job. Who goes out and who comes in for round one? Well, Seb Ross comes in, obviously. Jade Gresham comes in. So there's players probably like Nick Caulfield and Ed Phillips that could be up in the air. I think Ed Phillips may get dropped. No disrespect to him. I thought he had a pretty good game. He did only finish with 6 possessions. Caulfield only 3. I think Sinclair's genuinely in trouble. He only finished with the 9 disposals at, not a high efficiency, so 77%. But for a guy that played the majority of the game, he's supposed to be a winger/midfielder. You want to get 20 possessions like Zach Jones did, but he's got 9, and that's kind of been his issue over his career. And for us Saints fans, is he just doesn't get enough of the ball. He doesn't hurt the opposition enough. But when he does get the ball, he's pretty clean with it and clever with it, but he just doesn't find it enough. But he's a workhorse, in the time trials, he always ranks pretty highly. He covers a lot of distance when he does play. But I think he just doesn't know how to find the ball or where to find the ball. So I don't know if he's a sort of Hunter Clark experiment where we drop him to half back so he doesn't have to hunt the ball, because often he's the winger or is a half forward flanker. Maybe half back could be the go, but it remains to be seen. But I think Ed Phillips and Sinclair would be the 2 that would be dropped for Seb and Gresh. 2 mids that can play inside and out, and those 2 players coming out probably play those similar positions. Liam's game was pretty awful to watch, but there were many positives to get out of the game, like Long, King and Howard. The game was pretty ugly, but, you're not going to win pretty games all the time. You're not going to, if we lose this, we're probably annoyed, but if we win it, it doesn't matter. And I think during the season, we're going to win some games that are going to be open and we're going to play amazing. But, it's all equally, if not more important, that when you're not playing 100%, you're still defensive. You still stop a very good team like Collingwood and you come away with a tough win. So for us to have, like I said, Hawthorn open, really exciting, we win. But then at Collingwood, it's low scoring, it's a grind, it's kind of boring at times, but we still get the win. You get polar opposite type of game, and we still match up well, and we come out with in the season would be 4 points. So that's all you want. Stuart says, I watched the game, we look good, blew out the cobwebs. I think 2020 looks awesome. Great pace, great defence, great looking forward line. It's a good summary. I think defence looks great, midfield starting to gel. Forward line needs a bit more work, I think. But today, to me, was probably more just conversion. We had a lot of inside 50s. We just didn't make the most of them. I still want to find out what the total inside 50 count was. Just as clearances, tackles, shots. Inside 50s, 41 to 56. So our inside 50 efficiency was only 32%. Collingwood's was 29, but if we put that up closer to 40%, you probably win comfortably. Malik says the play from Nick Caulfield at the end was outstanding, and I know if you guys didn't know, there was a passage where he took on the Collingwood player, and if the ball had gone past him, it would have been a Collingwood goal, but he kept paddling it forward and forward and forward. I think he eventually got it to Dean Camps, who got it to, I think, Membry, and then Josh Battle, and then we got a shot on goal from that point. So that was all Nick Caulfield, and that's something that he can be really confident about moving into the AFL season. Brandon says Kent is not an A-grade player. Now I don't know. We don't have a lot of A-grade players, but I wouldn't say he's anywhere near the worst player we had today. I thought he was pretty good. I feel like he got a lot of the ball. He had 17 possessions, 76% efficiency. So you can't really argue with those numbers. The only thing is he is a forward and he didn't score a goal or a point. So, I'm sure he had a lot of score assists, but he didn't get on the score sheet himself, and that's ultimately what forwards are judged on. But I thought overall, if he's not kicking goals, he's still getting nearly 20 possessions, and that's something players like Sinclair need to start doing, and they don't. So I think he's the least of our worries. Jack Nunes was missed tonight, says Jack. I think Jack Nunes is playing for Carlton right now. I'm not sure exactly how he's going, but good on him and good luck to him. Susan says, love Jack Loney. And yeah, Jack, he's played 2 games this pre-season. He played against the Hawks, kicked 4 goals, and he's played against Collingwood. He's kicked another 4 goals. So he's been really, really lively for us. And he's ended up having 14 possessions, 4 goals, 1. He was he was the 5th highest ranked player on the ground for the Saints. So nearly 100 Dream Team points. So if you've got a fantasy team, maybe he's a player to get. But overall, really positive game. I was really happy with the performance. And now we get a week off to kind of, just be like, hurry the hell up. It's kind of the week that annoys me the most. I just wish we could just get straight into it. But a week of recovery, we get to think through these preseason games, and Brett Ratton will have a lot to review. Whether, who comes in, who comes out, if he wants to tweak any sort of tactics. But I think when you play 2 Marsh games like we have and come through pretty well, and no injuries, which is another thing that's been amazing. We haven't had any injuries. Hanbury got through this game and he had 18 possessions and kicked a goal. You take that any day of the week. This has been one of the most positive pre-seasons we've had in years. And now we just keep the momentum going. Hopefully more people after this game sign up and become Saints members, because we're so close to getting that 50,000. I think we're on 42 or 43 now. But, it's a week off and then we get into round 1. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all the comments again. This video will be up on YouTube, so even if you haven't had a chance to watch it live, it'll be on there. It'll also be on Spotify on the Saints TV podcast. And I'll post about it on Instagram as well. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy the week off. No footy, which is going to be shit, but then we get into the real stuff. It's going to be round 1 against North, Sunday, twilight kind of game, which is annoying, I think, or is it 1:10? I think it's 1:10 on the Sunday, March 22nd, and then we'll get into the real live reviews and previews. So looking forward to that, and I'll see you guys soon. Go Saints.